Hey everybody, Danzelay here with a Diablo 4 video covering 6 things that I want to talk about in relation to Lord of Hatred and where we're at, where we might be going, and what's good and what needs some fixing. I'm just going to kind of casually play while we chat here. So, Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred. Now, I've already got another video out on the channel about my thoughts on the story and the campaign. If you want to watch that, please go check that out. This video is going to cover mostly like the actual game, you know. We're covering mostly what people would normally run into in the end game, what people would experience after they complete the campaign, and how things are going to feel going forward. I mean, action RPGs at their core are about gameplay loops and how satisfying those gameplay loops are, whether it be crafting or gambling or fighting monsters or collecting rewards. Let's start off. I got a list here. Start off with number 1, and that is war plans. Now, war plans are awesome. It is probably one of my favorite additions to Diablo 4. You could argue, well, it kind of makes the endgame a little more homogenized, but you could also argue that it's just basically rewarding you for doing the main activities of the endgame in Diablo 4. Personally, my feelings about it is that it augments what we have already been doing for seasons, and every little activity that they've added between Whispers, Nightmare Dungeons, Helltide, Undercity, even lair bosses, infernal hordes in the pit, all are things we were already doing, and this just puts them in context, greater context. Oh, you're not just doing these various activities to earn the rewards they would most primarily give. Now you're doing it because, oh, you can get more points so that you can do pits to get your glyphs upgraded faster. You can do lair bosses that'll maybe sneak out into Helltides or give a better chance at having runes or having more chests, etc. Oh, I'm doing Helltides. Now I've got giant hellworms that were already popping out before, mind you, but now they have more meaning because the war plans enable that. You know, kudos to Blizzard. War plans I kind of underestimated before the expansion came out, and they turned out better than I could have ever hoped, honestly. That being said, I have a few criticisms. One, they need to pick a lane here with progressing the overall war plan ranks and earning points here. The experience needed to level these up is ridiculous, and they're a per character basis. If you level them up on one character and you want to play another class and you're expecting your war plans to be in the same spot you thought you had your first class on, sorry bud, you got to start from square one all over again. Doesn't even matter if you have all the gear in the world ready to go for your next class that you want to hand down, or God forbid you're a solo self-found player, self-imposed. You are going to be grinding for hours, if not days on end, just to get back to where you were on your main character, if you even maxed out at that point. I propose, and many people on the internet have already proposed, and I totally agree with this, I don't think they should both increase the XP rate for adding, points to this bar and having it so that the war plans are shared across all your characters, but they need to pick one. Either you leave the XP as it is now, and you let all the characters share in the war plan experience, or you let us have just more ways to gain XP for the experience, or just higher rates of XP, because I can't imagine maxing this out every season. This is just going to take forever. And it's something I like to do. War plans so far, I have enjoyed doing these. I love the fact that I get to go down this little path of like, okay, I like doing this. Oh, cool, this has bonus experience. I'm going to totally do this instead of going over to the Pure Ass Undercity for Gold Nobles. Like, I love doing the activities, and it's great that, like, you're rewarded for doing it. You get all these bonus points for getting these war plan perk points, but, like, it's still the fact that I can do this 2 to 3 times now, and most of mine are, like, rank 4, 3, 5. I got the highest is 6. It's been 2 weeks and I've played this character almost non-stop. Only to take a break to play some Warlock and starting off that Druid. That's it. Most of my time. Like, how many hours have I had on this character? Let's see. I'm at 54 hours, and we're barely past the halfway point for all war plans points. Like, they need to up the XP or make it like account wide. This is just ridiculous. Other than that, I think it's a great system. I hope they do expand on it. I hope maybe some new activities like world bosses, or the Dark Citadel, or maybe even strongholds have their own perk trees. Maybe having an overall giant perk tree would be cool. There's a lot of things they could do with this, and I'm looking forward to the future of war plans. Again, how grindy an action RPG should be, but I'll tell you what, some systems do not need to be that grindy. There's a reason why Diablo 2 is still seen as one of the grindiest games in the genre, and nobody's tried to perfectly replicate it. So that's war plans. Great, they're awesome, for the most part. Again, want to see some updates for that. Itemization is great. I really like the new itemization system, and it really kind of capitalizes on mainly the Horadric Cube, which I will come back to later. The main thing I want to hit is I like the simplicity of the items now. Still, it's simple enough that when you go to craft an item or you're trying to find a specific drop, you're able to just say, just off the top of your head, like, okay, I need max life on this chest piece, I need weapon damage on this sword, etc., and then just building off of that. That's really nice, and you don't have to worry about these super extravagant, hyper-specific affixes that used to be in the game. It's so much cleaner and human readable. And there's still rare stuff out there. Greater affixes is still a thing, which, again, I want to say I'm happy that white, blue, and yellow items are now worth it to find in the overworld. You're not just harping for legendaries constantly. It's nice to hold on to just white items because they have use in, well, specifically the cube, something that you can look forward to whenever you see something drop. I do want to say, as far as itemizations goes, gems, they added more tiers, and all I gotta say is, I talked about war plans and grindiness. Let's lower the grind on the gems, guys. Can you at least give us a path to getting gems faster? Because this is ridiculous how hard it is to get the higher than grand gems. So, charms, I'm a little split on. I really like unique charms. I really like the set charms. I really like the seal system for the most part. But I want to point out that the seal system... Actually, let's start with charms. There is almost no reason to use yellow charms. They are a stepping stone to getting to your set. That is it. There is no real other reason to have them. If you have a seal with 6 slots, you're most likely going to use a 5-set charm set and then a unique charm. Benefits you the most. There is no reason... In fact, I don't even know why I have these in my inventory anymore. There is almost no reason to have these. Unless you are, like, really missing out on, like, some kind of plus skills, for example. You don't need these. Blizzard needs to look at ways to make yellow and blue charms a little better. Something to just make them a little bit more competitive. They don't need to be necessarily strictly better than unique charms, but they need to have a little more oomph so that I have to go, if I found this really sweet yellow charm, maybe that would be better. I don't think about that now. Every time I see a yellow charm drop, I'm just like, cool, I can salvage this. Seals are a whole other problem. They should have not had one of the affixes for seals be a +1 charm slot. What we should have had was, it should have been just a consistent, like, 3 through 6 slots. It should have been magic does 3, rare does 4, legendary does 5, and then there should have been unique and mythic seals that both have 6. Honestly, I don't mind having +1 charm slot on the legendaries if it didn't also, like, swallow up one of the other affixes. Trying to point out that the different tiers of seals and charms are just, they're not competitive enough with each other. Which is funny because when we talk about general equipment and gear, I'm holding on to stuff. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what is I see the potential. Oh, this has crit strike damage multiplier. Think of the different things. Like, there's so many different classes that could benefit from that, and so many different builds that can benefit from that. But, like, why would I not just put on a 5 set and then just put a unique that I care about? There's no reason for the yellows. They're just strictly worse unique charms. So, the charm system needs a look at. It's a good first pass. I'll give them that. But it needs more work. They did a great job with gear. Let's apply that to the new charm system. That brings me to... Okay. Blizzard, what were you thinking with making uniques having random affixes? Why is it that Razor Plate is the only unique in the game, as far as I can tell, besides Mythic Uniques as well? I actually don't have a Razor Plate on me. Why is Razor Plate the only unique that has actually unique stats on it that it always rolls? Static stats. The whole point of uniques is that they're meant to be this like special thing. It's like, oh my god, this has this affix on it that you can't get anywhere else. But now they're just legendaries with like slightly fancier art that you can't modify. They're almost strictly worse legendaries because you can't modify them besides tempering, which thank you for letting us temper them. So that's an upside right now. I mean, that literally is the worst part of it. Like, you can't modify these random stats. Yeah, we need to go back to the same affixes over and over. I could see like a middle ground where it's like, okay, unique power, temperable affix, 3 unique affixes, and then maybe like 1 random affix. I think that would be a nice middle ground, because then yes, you could roll different uniques and have like maybe like, oh man, this rolled plus thorns along with its strength and resistance and damage reduction, or oh man, this one rolled critical strike chance with its. But instead, it's like you can end up with just total a waste of item. Uniques need to be unique. They need static affix. Really quick, I just want to touch on Skovos and the hometown here of Temis. Temis is fantastic. This is the best town hub in the game, bar none. You have everything you could ever want in this area. Overall, I mean, Skovos as a whole is a fantastic zone. This has just been pleasant to look at. The layout's nice. It's very straightforward. You know, it's just a series of islands. As far as Diablo 4 is concerned, 10 out of 10, no notes. I mean, honestly, I think the weakest part of the island is probably this like upper left part, but even then, I mean, that's, you know, 1/10 of the playable areas. And with the recent patch as well, they already fixed an issue with the blacksmith being too close to the waypoint teleport, and the stash being in a more reasonable location. So. Difficulty scaling. I was honestly pretty disappointed when I heard we were leaning even more into Diablo 3's style of difficulty scaling. I do not like it. I think from a purely I want to see how far I can go perspective, like that notion, I think it works fine. You made a build, how many torment levels can you go? I would argue that if you wanted to keep like this super ultra hard difficulty where like the people who just like min-max their builds and they copy stuff, or they're just like streamers that stream 9,000% more than me, push all the way to the highest levels of the game and highest difficulty challenges of the game on like day 2, needed something to chew through. I get that. You know what you didn't need to do? Expand it over 12 different, well, technically 16 difficulties. This is ridiculous. It should have stayed half the number. If it were up to me, I would have done normal, Pentient, T1 through 6. That's it. You're bloating the difficulty. It didn't need to be this spread out. Tighten it up. Make it chunkier. I want to feel like when I get to that next torment that like I'm like crossing a threshold. In Diablo 2, when you went from normal to nightmare, you felt like you were hopping this fence. You were like, oh man, okay, I made it to level 30-ish. Kills are starting to really start to, you know, the synergies are starting to pop off. I'm starting to, you know, mow down enemies. And then that jump from normal, or from a nightmare to hell, a sense of accomplishment in feeling like, oh man, when you first get into hell, I'm getting my ass kicked. I need to like farm up gear, maybe in late nightmare, or maybe I stick to the safer areas of hell. As you naturally progress, as you leveled up, and as you found more gear that worked for your build in Diablo 2, and you're sitting in hell mode got naturally easier. and suddenly the natural efficiency of killing monsters faster, finishing bosses faster, it was just all a natural process. But this is just artificial, like, oh, you leveled up your glyphs another 20 levels? Okay, you're allowed to go to Torment 7. I'm being a bit facetious, but my point being is, like, I don't feel like I'm feeling like I'm just going through the motions now of getting through the Torment difficulties, which is something I didn't like about Diablo 3. I want each Torment, each difficulty level in general, to feel like I'm, like, climbing this actual, like, not just a rung on a ladder, like, I'm climbing up, I am literally walking up to another floor of hell. Or I guess it'd be walking down, but make it chunkier. I want, like, you see how this is like, okay, more experience, more gold, and then it has, you know, something I do like about this system is like, oh, it specifies, hey, set charms are now going to drop more frequently at this level. Hey, Neath Iron's going to start dropping more frequently at this level. Hey, legendary runes, etc. We need to, like, combine a lot of this. Again, make those rewards chunkier. Make the difficulty bump between each bigger. You can still retain this, like, Torment 11, Torment 12 level of difficulty, but you can call it, I don't know, Torment 5 and 6. Get rid of the whole, like, Torment naming scheme in general. Stop reminding me of Diablo 3's difficulty system. Chunkier, simpler difficulties, please. It doesn't have to be Diablo 2, but it don't have to be Diablo 3. Diablo 4 was just fine before Torment 12. You just needed to, you know, kind of shift the gears a little bit. So class and clan perk balance. I'm only going to touch on this briefly. I think class balance, I can't speak for, like, the super high top of the leaderboard stuff. Everybody's going to find something broken. I think, from what I can tell, this is probably the best season. I think this season rewards build experimentation the most, especially with the skill tree updates. So I think class balance, as far as just, I want to screw around, I think most builds, you could get up to at least the middle torments without too much fuss. I think the way the numbers are scaled, you could do just fine. I'm just screwing around with this kind of average judgment build that I just happen to have some decent gear, like kind of an Oradin, kind of judgment, just kind of in the middle. I'm, you know, making headway into Torment 9 and Torment 10. I mean, I have unlocked them. I'm not doing all that hot in Torment 10, but I can handle it. Just very slow. I think class balance wise things are pretty good. To come back to war plans for a moment, I do want to point out that some of the perks on these trees seem worse than some others. I hope Blizzard is paying attention to what people are picking right now, because I think people are starting to slowly realize some perks on these trees. Some perks on these trees are not good. So I hope that we see future balance or even full-on reworks for some of these trees, because some of these are not great. Last thing I am going to mention is the cube is fantastic and probably one of the best things they've added to the game. And I don't even say it as, like, nostalgia bait. Like, the cube is just fantastic. I was hoping that Diablo 4 would get something like this someday, where we had the ability to really modify not only our gear, but also make other things like, say, runes, or, I mean, boss trophies are really nice. They've opened up an entire world of possibilities for how we as players interact with the items of Diablo. So, I think some recipes are a little odd. I think some of the, say, raw primordial dust, coarse primordial dust versus, like, refined, for example. I think some of the drop rates are a little wonky. And I would like to see more recipes, and more recipes that make sense, and a little clearer, like, explanation as to what some of the recipes do, like recycle uniques. Don't really explain whether the new version of the unique will be ancestral or not. Stuff like that. Also, more amalgamations. I love amalgamation. I love it's just, hey, slam 5 things into the cube to do this thing. I want to see more items being able to be amalgamated. It's awesome. It's very satisfying to do. Helps clean up your inventory while rewarding the player by giving you a higher tier of a thing or a more important thing. That's all my real quick thoughts on Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred's game loops and Endgame. I'm loving it. Honestly, I have so much more stuff I want to do with this game. I've never been this excited to play more Diablo 4 in a long time. Season 11, when they did the little preview, Paladin preview season with the Lesser Evils, was pretty good, but it was still old Diablo 4, or at least, you know, modern day Vessel of Hatred Diablo 4. Lord of Hatred just fixed so many things and opened up so many more possibilities. And once they rework and update and patch up and fix a lot of the issues that I've mentioned in this video, along with a bunch of stuff the community has been harping about in the past couple weeks, this is slowly becoming the Diablo 4 I wanted to see years ago. With that being said, I'm going to play more Diablo 4 now, guys. So, take it easy. Hope you have fun and good luck with your drops. If you are also currently enjoying Lord of Hatred, I'm going to leave you off with a bit more Paladin gameplay before I take off. And, yeah. Have a good one, y'all. And yes, I'm probably doing the pit because, well, it is my current war plan objective. Question I gotta ask myself is if anybody from Blizzard will even watch this. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, this build's pretty chill. Nice. Eke Ancestral Charm. Could be good.